Okay, this is gonna be a rough walkthrough. Hopefully I don't bore you completely. I'll give you a brief overview of the way that we set up Agility is we try to set a data dictionary over here that was configurable for whatever vertical market that you would need it for. To give you an example, like the way we have it set up right now, I've been slowly kind of changing a couple of things. So this is how I had it set up to where you had projects, tasks, and activities, documents, companies, and things like that. So I made some changes and made it to where it's more kind of lawyer related. So this way you have clients now with matters and then tasks underneath the matters and then activity, which activity would actually be kind of time billing. So let me come over here real quick and drop it down to where activities. And I'll just change those around. And now you can see they dynamically update on the side so that you can configure the system however you want to configure it. There's some built-in timesheets for clocking in and clocking out if you got multiple employees. There's a ticketing system which kind of connects to the client. You can give your clients an actual login so that they can come in and create tickets on the fly. In an attorney standpoint, they probably wouldn't be called tickets. We might call those inquiries or something like that you could give one of your clients access into looking at specific things that are going on with their case at any one time, that kind of thing. We link it to QuickBooks, and you can sync all of your records with QuickBooks for invoices as well as your time billing records, your clients, and your drop downs. All of these different task types can come directly from QuickBooks for your billing, or you can set them up here and not do any syncing. We have multiple billing methods set up in the system. So the way that we have the billing methods set up is we have block of time, with expiration, flat rate, retainer, cost, and time and materials. So this covers most of the different verticals that we could see ourselves in. Basically, block time and block time expiration is something like you purchase a 100-hour block of time in advance. So let's say they gave you $10,000. You kind of have what would be a blended cost for any product or service that you're doing for that client. You're taking the money ahead of time, so it's a zero invoice basically, and then you're subtracting the number of hours from the block of time. The difference between the expiration is those block of time hours expire. This would be for like an IT company for support type stuff where you just give a blended rate because they're paying in advance for it. Flat rate, this is kind of a progressive billing type thing that you'd bill out for a flat rate for how much it would cost, and then you set up tasks, and those tasks have different billing milestones, and then you can set it up that as you complete the different billing milestones, that's when the bill would be generated or the invoice would be generated when you hit each milestone. Retainer cost, kind of like mostly an attorney would do, is basically you ask for a retainer up front. Then the way we have it set up is that as tasks are built, they're built at the service rate. So for an example here, let's say your billable hour is $30 an hour or $300 an hour. It really doesn't matter. But whatever that billable rate is, you could give a % off for that client that since they're paying you a retainer up front, you're giving so much off on a per hourly rate, and it would basically bill by the hour, but it's coming off of the dollars. So it kind of does a twofold thing. It will allow you to put a percentage off, so you could give a reduced rate at the number of hours billed, or you could just bill it straight rack rate of whatever your service hours are times the number of hours. And unlike the block of time, it doesn't subtract from the number of hours as much as it takes from the dollar because it's the retainer. And then good old time and materials. Time and material billing is straight up time for whatever work was done plus any expenses. And we have a way that you can upload expenses for things like if you were doing installs for people on a vertical like a construction and you had to run by Lowe's and get something, you could bill for your hours and the system would automatically let you upload the invoice and then put in how much the invoice was for, the receipt was for from Lowe's, and it does a little markup too so that you could bill them for their hours and a markup. So we kind of try to handle all those different little verticals. So let me jump into here real quick and I'll just kind of show you how it's set up. Everything's centered under the matters when you create a new matter or project or however you want to call it. So we could say it was Adcock v. State of PA. Then you could select the service type. These are dynamic that you can set up for you. If there was different service types, you set them up however you want to. It's strictly for reporting processes. Then what kind of billing are you doing? Time and materials, flat rate, how a block of time, however you're going to do that. We're going to say it's a retainer cost. There's a 0% discount and they're going to pay $10,000 up front as a retainer. Then you select the client. The client is this person. You could put a description of what the case is about. I'm going to give 10% discount. Test case. Click next. Then it's going to show you all the contacts that are actually on that particular client record that you have to create, or you can create new contacts. The way that we've set up this system is you can actually have a contact that goes across multiple clients. So the cool thing about that is you could set up a multiple contact, somebody that's a witness or something like that, maybe a professional witness in one case, maybe the actual client in another case. You can kind of drag and drop and move those all around. So this person is going to be our billing client. We're going to add them on, but technically since they're a contact, that contact could be something completely different assigned to a different type of matter. So that's kind of how we set it up to make it very fluid. And then staff people, you just kind of select your staff and what your staff's going to be. Basically, all of this is for permissions. Certain staff can only see stuff that they're assigned to. So if you're not assigned to the matter, you can't see any of the information about the matter. When I say information about the matter, any documents that are uploaded, any tasks that are created, any time billings that's done, any appointments, the contacts you've set up and all their information, any invoices, and if it's the retainer, you can see the built-in retainer block, any additional retainer or dollar amounts. They couldn't see that kind of stuff. Then from here, you can basically do all these different types of things just on the fly. You can upload documents, which you can create documents, upload them. You can use them from an external URL like a Google Drive or a Dropbox or anything like that. You can subcategorize all these out by different classifications, whether they're going to be external or internal, which lets you know if they're going to show up in the customer's or in the client's portal or not. The types of documents and the subtypes of documents you can all set up within our configuration tool, the title of the document. And once again, we can either do use a WebTwain scanner and have a plugin for that, or you can just upload them. Same thing on the fly. You can come in and actually create a task, and you can create all the different tasks for file reviews, what type of file, when it's due, estimated times you think it will take, who's responsible for it, what documents are in there, and you can create those. And then once you have tasks, you can do time billing against it. So if I create a task, say it's due today, estimated it's going to take me an hour. I'm going to be assigned to it by default because I'm who's logged in. I could attach any documents or upload some documents for it. And then once I've done that, I can create it. Once it's created, I can go ahead and start a timer. And that timer, I can either create a new task or select a task that I'm assigned to. I can go ahead and submit with the timer and start it, or I could go ahead and put a fixed number of hours if I'm submitting it direct. Most of the time, the way that we would be doing is we would submit it with a timer, and it's going to just go ahead and start calculating the time. I can keep working through the system and doing any updates, but as of right now, all of my time is being tracked for that particular task that I've been working on right then. Then when you come in and stop it, it's going to ask you if you want to finish the task. You can say yes or no. I'm going to say no because I'll probably put some more time on that as I'm kind of walking through this demo. And then when you come back into the client, you can actually look at the matter and you can see that there's already a task that's in progress with an estimated time. And then if I click down on that task, you can see there was a timer started, and my company default is 0.25 hours is the minimum I'd bill. So since that's set up in our configuration system, that's what it automatically default to that 1 minute timer to. Once all of this is done and you've actually come through and you've looked at your time billing, let's say we've actually completed the task. So I'm going to come in and say that this task is actually completed. At that point, you can actually bill it out to your clients once it's completed, depending on your type of billing that's set up. As long as it's completed, you can open it back up, add additional things to it until it's completely closed out. And we kind of have a little time billing walkthrough that you can select which matter you're looking at. It will show that it's completed, but it's not letting us do any action to it because it hasn't been finalized or closed out. You can come back over, look at all Ryan's stuff for today, and say, show me everything that's completed. I want to go ahead and close this one out, which means now it shows up in the time billing. Actually, I want to bill them at 5.5 hours, accept that timing. And now if I scroll all the way over to billing, I can actually come in and you can see the full breakdown of how that it would be sent over to QuickBooks to create an invoice. That basically you have a retainer that's already been paid for, how many hours are going to be subtracted from, and since there's a retainer it's already paid for, you can see it's a zero invoice that's created, but it allows you to have all this detail that's sent over to QuickBooks so that you've got it tracked. If it wasn't a retainer, it was time and materials, it would create an invoice that actually has a value to it. You can preview the invoice, so if you wanted to print something that wasn't directly into QuickBooks, and you can see how it puts the time and materials and tasks straight through that. And that's kind of how the flow. And then